Hey, thanks for tuning in, everybody, in the Right Podcast with Curt Fletcher. Got some tour dates. Wednesday, the 17th, tonight, Socorro, New Mexico, at the Loma Theater, opening for Jim Rule. September 20th, this Saturday, be in Santa Fe at Knuckles, Nuckolls, I think it's spelled. September 24th, Taos at the Burger Stand. September 27th in Grants, New Mexico, at Junkyard on 66. Headlining the Comedy Cave in Calgary, September 29th through October 4th. I'll be at the Colorado Springs Comedy Festival at Looney's Comedy Corner. My shows are October 8th, 10th, and 11th. And then October 25th, I am performing at Eagles in Belen with Barry Neal. And then I've got some shows lined up for 2026 as well. Go to the website, funnyfletcher.com. That's it. Let's get into the podcast. I have a very funny comedian, Carlos Alvidrez, on, so check it out. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Carlos Alvidrez. How do you pronounce your last name? Alvidrez?
That's the weird thing, dude. Is like, it's Alvidrez, but it's also Alvidrez, but it's also Alvidrez, depending on like who you ask and who cares.
Oh, okay.
I I'm fine with as long as it sounds somewhat similar.
Okay, Alvidrez.
Yeah,
Have you had anyone like really mess it up, like introducing you on stage?
dude. I still go to a couple of places, and they already know me. They know my face. They know everything, and they'll still say Alvidares or Alvidares. So that's kind of the pain of not having a common last name, I will say.
Yeah. I one time had to open for Kostaki Economopoulos, which I can say fine now, and I was practicing all week and I had it fine, but the night of the show I totally fucked it up.
Like how many hours did it take, give or take?
To get it down?
Yeah.
It didn't take too long. I tried it a few times. I was like, okay, I got this. And I think I got a little too cocky about it, And then showtime, I went up there and did my set, and I was like, all right, here we go, and then totally butchered it.
Dude, it's one of my favorite things to do is like actually be able to pronounce people's names correctly.
Yeah.
Like every so often I'll work at a bakery here, and we're taking orders, we're doing all that stuff, and then someone will tell me their name and I'll write it down how I think that it's spelled. And just to check, like I always ask, like, is that Mackenzie with a like MCK or MAC kind of thing? And it's just a fun little game that I play.
Oh yeah.
But everything's a game to me. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun. I one time back in the day I started out at Laughs Comedy Club, and so when you were hosting at the end of the show, you would collect the comment cards, and then or the staff would collect the comment cards, and then the host would draw two names out of the bucket. So whoever you drew out of the bucket won tickets to like some shows or whatever. And one time this guy won, and he came up to me after the show. He goes, "Hey, how the hell did you know how to pronounce my last name?" So it was spelled Froelich, and it's pronounced Freilich. And I go, "Oh, I grew up in Iowa, and there's this really good basketball player with that last name, and he used to always like score like 40 points against my school." And he goes, "Where'd you go to school?" And I was like, "I grew up in Iowa." He's like, "Oh shit, I was like, "Yeah, it was AJ." So that's how I knew how to pronounce his name, was from his cousin.
oh shit, dude, it's such
Yeah.
a small world. Where'd
Yeah.
you start? Where'd you start comedy at? Because I know you've been at it like what, 23 years, something.
20, I said 24 years. I started at Laughs in Albuquerque.
Oh, you started in
Yeah.
Albuquerque.
Yeah. Where did you start?
Albuquerque. At
Okay.
y'all's mic, actually.
At the Founders one?
No, Dunce is in the dark or something.
Oh shit. The
Yeah. November
Uh,
2021.
no kidding. At Bird's
Yeah.
Tiki Lounge, or was it
Space
a different
Lounge.
venue?
Space. The one with no roof.
Oh, the one.
Spaceport.
No,
No? Fuck.
Inside Out. I think.
Yes.
Yeah,
They had like it was right next to El Rey or the Sunshine or one of those
that's
two.
right. Yep.
Yeah. That was my
Okay.
first time ever. So
How cool. That's
yeah.
funny. Yeah. Okay, I remember that now. Did you grow up in Albuquerque, or did you grow up in a different town?
No, I grew up in Roswell. Well, outside of Roswell. I'm from a small town called Hagerman, New Mexico. It's like a
Hagerman.
thousand people, right, like 20 miles south of Roswell. But I ended up in Albuquerque after I graduated from college because I went to college in Portales.
At Eastern.
For, yeah, at Eastern, four and a
Cool.
half years. Had a fucking blast. Then I ended up in Albuquerque. Then the pandemic hit. Just kind of hung out there for like a year and a half, and then I was like, oh, actually, the way that I found the mic was I went out to go watch the United play, New Mexico United, and I don't remember the game. My friend actually promised to get me drunk for the game as like a bribe because he went with a girl that he was, I guess, talking to or something, and he needed a wingman. So I ended up going to the game. It was like a Monday night, I think, and it was already like late. I was tired. Some stuff had happened already, so I was like, I'm tired of this shit. They're like, well, we're gonna go to an open mic. I was like, I don't want to see musicians. Like, I can't. I can't sit there through somebody's like ballad or whatever of how much they hate their mom or something. But uh, they said it was like like comedy, and I was like, oh, fuck it, why not? So I actually went to go watch a mic before I actually did it.
Oh, okay.
But that's how I found
Yeah,
out about it.
that's cool. So before you went to watch it, did you have any desire to do comedy before that?
Dude, it's weird now, like, because it's about to hit 4 years since that day, right? And
Hmm.
I've looked back on it, and you tend to reflect about things. But I actually went back, and I've been a fan of comedy ever since I was a kid. Like my first recorded memory of like what a comedian is, I was sitting on the floor in my parents' home where I grew up, and someone was on the TV, and it was in Spanish. It was a Mexican guy. He was doing it some kind of bit or whatever, and I looked at my dad, and my dad was laughing, and my dad doesn't really laugh at a lot. My parents are very stoic Mexicans, because that's how they were raised. But I saw that they were laughing, and I was like, what is this? So I turned to my dad and I asked him, and he's like, oh, well, he's a comedian. It's like, what does that mean? He's like, oh, well, he just gets paid to go around telling, doing this kind of thing. And I was like, oh, it's kind of like the first time that I was like, oh, that's a thing. But my graduating class in high school was 26.
Oh,
Like
wow.
it's a tiny town in the middle of nowhere. Like nothing is there unless you're a farmer or in the oil fields. But essentially, I never considered it being in my wheelhouse. But I listened to comedy growing up the entire time. Like middle school and high school, all I would listen to was Pandora. There was like clean comedy, raw comedy, musical comedy. Like I would just keep going through all of these little sub things and listening to every last album that was on there. So I was like a big old fan of it. And then come to find out, while I was going through my dad's cassette tapes, while I was sitting in his '89 Chevy van, he had like a 8-track and a cassette tape player. So he had like this giant leather bound box of like lined up of just cassettes and stuff, and it was all mostly music. But the first one I ended up finding was Sam Kinison.
Oh, wow.
So then I popped it in and I listened to it, and I was fucking dying. Like middle school edgelord me, was
Yeah.
dying laughing. So never thought it was kind of a thing. So whenever
Yeah.
I found out about it years later in Albuquerque, I was like, oh, New Mexico has this? What? You know, it just never clicked in my head that maybe that was a thing that existed, you know?
Yeah, for sure. How old are you, by the way, so I can kind of get a time frame of
28.
28? Okay. So
Graduated high
Kinnison,
school 2015, college 2019.
so Kinnison had been dead for a while when the first time you heard him. Then,
Yeah,
yeah,
but not long enough to where like people still kind of, recognize the name.
for sure. I still go visit his grave sometimes because he's buried in Tulsa.
Is he?
Yeah,
What the fuck?
yeah, yeah. Actually, I lived in Tulsa for a few years. I actually found that.
You found what?
I found the church he used to preach at in Tulsa.
No shit.
Yeah.
Is he from there? I know
His
bare minimum. Hold on, it kind of cut out.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know if my internet's all that great right now, but yeah, his parents lived there, and they were living there when he passed away. But he would go there when he wasn't doing comedy. He would go there and preach on weekends and stuff.
See, I knew he was a preacher before he did it, but I didn't know he kept doing it.
Yeah, he actually during from stand up to go do preaching full time.
No shit.
Yeah,
I guess one of them pays bills.
yeah. Yeah, that's what I'd heard. I don't know if that's true or not. That I toured with a lot, Tim Gaither, he actually had Sam's brother on his podcast one time. That was pretty
Really?
cool. Yeah. Yeah, his brother Bill, I think his name is.
What got you into it?
Um Kind of the same thing as you. Like my mom, she listened to a lot of comedy when I was younger. And so I would sneak out of my room and see what she was laughing. I'd be like, okay, that's what I want to do. I just want to make people laugh.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that was my dream since I was 4 years old. So once I turned 21, I was like, all right, here we go. Let's do it.
That's sick, dude. I like the norm
Yeah.
behind you.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's a T-shirt my dad gave me right after he passed away.
Oh yeah. As soon as he
Yeah.
passed away, I found it's a gaudy color. It's a gaudy yellow T-shirt. Um, like he passed away pretty much like about a year or two into of me actually starting to do this. I was like, I gotta support, I gotta do that. So I was living back at Roswell at that time, and there was only like one mic a month, and it was 15 minutes, but it was one mic a month. So I did it the first time, and then he died, and then I went quickly online and I found a T-shirt, and I was like, I'm gonna rep Norm. Everyone's gonna see this, and people are gonna be like, oh, that's fucking Norm on there, cool. Because it's a yellow T-shirt with the SNL portrayal of him doing Burt Reynolds
Yeah.
with the big old hat,
Ferguson.
and all it says at the bottom is R.I.P. Burt Reynolds, and it's one of my favorite things. It's such a shitty color, dude. Like, but I couldn't get it in any other color. I
Yeah.
was like, that's the thing. So I ended up buying it and I wore it and nobody knew what the fuck it was.
Oh,
So,
really? That's disappointing.
small towns. What are you going to do?
Yeah, that's
Actually, no,
true.
I still wear that around like in open mics and stuff. And people look at me like, that doesn't look like Burt Reynolds.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool.
Isn't he?
I will say, dude, I, I am a massive comedy nerd. I fucking, like I told you, this is all I listened to growing up. Like, I remember listening to like, Robin Williams' Night at the Met,
Mm-hmm.
or one of the older ones that he had, and it was that bit of Lorena Bobbitt.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and like a eighth grader, ninth grader, something like that. Like I didn't know what it was, but the advent of the internet hit right at that time. So I was like, Wikipedia, and I started looking into every reference that any old comic would do. So essentially, I knew everything that happened from like 1975 to like 1995
Mm-hmm.
predominantly because every comic was kind of hitting on the same topics.
Yeah.
And I knew nothing about what was going on at my current time.
Yeah.
I remember two guys fighting my 7th grade year over John McCain and Barack Obama, like the fist fighting in
Oh
school.
wow.
And I was looking at them, I was like, yeah, but you guys don't even know who was like the president in the 80s. Like, what do your opinions matter, you know?
Hmm.
Dumb middle school shit.
That's so funny. Who are some of your favorites that you would find like on Pandora? Do you remember?
Oh man, my top three, uh, my Mount Rushmore, I guess I would say is for sure, definitely no order. George Carlin, Robin Williams, and Bo Burnham.
Hmm.
Those are my three. The fourth one is always like a revolving door because you got Louis, you got Hedberg, Patrice O'Neill. I'm a big Emo Phillips fan, even though he only
Yes.
had like the one album.
I just met him a
Um,
couple months ago.
really,
Hmm.
dude, if I could, if I could, I didn't discover him until like 20. I had to move back home because I got fired out of nowhere from my job in Dallas, and it was kind of like one of the worst times in my life. But I remember clearly setting up my hammock in my mom's front porch because it just fit perfectly for some reason. And it was like 9 or 10 o'clock at night. I was laying on the hammock, and it's a summer night, so it's still like 70 or 80 degrees. And I found that album, and I like the actual special on YouTube because everything's on YouTube for free if you look hard enough. Uh, but I found the live at Hasty Pudding Theater,
Hmm.
and I can't. I cried throughout it. Like I was crying, laughing, yelling at the top of my lungs, apparently, because my mom ended up walking over, opening the door, and just being like, are you okay, dude?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm laughing. I'm enjoying it." She's like, "Oh, I thought you were like sad or something. Like, you just there was a lot of emotions, and we can hear it." It's like, "Oh,
Hmm.
sorry."
Wow, that's great.
But dude, you got guys like from Pandora specifically. Stephen Lynch was a big one.
Mm.
Um, the
He's the guy
musical
that did
comedy,
songs, right?
very good.
Yeah.
Uh, Beals, Dr. Steven, superhero. His superhero thing is fucking phenomenal to me. I don't know. I don't care what anyone says. Which I actually just recently found out that him and Hedberg had gone on like a double headliner tour sometime
Oh, really?
in the 90s. Yeah, I found an oral history by some reporter who's been covering comedy for like all of her career or something. She was a big Hedberg fan, but she just did like a 2 hour oral history report in a sense on Hedberg and his life and like his work and stuff. And she had like David Tell speak on it, and it's actually all comics speaking predominantly.
Hmm.
So it's not just her like, oh, this is his life and all of that. But there's Stanhope. Stanhope is also one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah.
Stanhope, Attell, a couple of others that I didn't recognize, but were close to Hedberg and all of that stuff. So again, this is one of the things that I could just talk about for a long time.
For sure. Yeah, it's awesome being a comedy nerd. I've met a lot of those guys. I met Stanhope. I got to perform with him before. Um, Dave Attell actually came to Laughs one time when he was filming Insomniac. Do you remember that show?
Mm-mm.
It was on Comedy Central, and he was there he did like a quick 5 minute set and then left. I didn't even know he was there, and I was in the kitchen. I had no clue he was there. He just popped in. They set up the cameras. He did a 5 minute set and then left. It was a fun show though on Comedy Central. He would go around. He would do like a 5 minute spot somewhere, whatever comedy club was in town, and then he would just go around town, like kind of showcasing like some of the nightlife in the town, or just find some weird shit to do. Like, I'm trying to remember the Albuquerque one. I remember he went downtown. He went to a bar, and then he went to, I think the Scorpions were playing. So he went to the concert, and then he did something else too. And I wish I could remember. It's been like 20 years since I've seen it, but it was a pretty interesting show. It was cool.
Nice.
Yeah, that tail's awesome.
Do you think? Okay, this question popped up in my head as you were talking. Um, I would be very interested in seeing like some of the top name comics right now, like Attell, insert other top name comics or whatever. Specifically, only do 5 minute sets,
Yeah,
like kind of like a local mic showcase. I don't know why in my head it'd be like, is that harder? I don't know. Maybe you have like a more set like, oh, like 5 minutes is nothing kind of thing because you've
I
done it
feel
for
I
so
feel
long.
like it's different for each comic. Like for me, I do a lot of one-liners and stuff. So a 5 minute
Right.
set for me is pretty easy. I feel like some comics not necessarily have to warm up for a bit, but to get into some of their stuff, like Louis C.K., I think would probably have a hard time doing 5 minutes. Um, because his bits are pretty. I don't know, maybe not. I mean, he's a pretty solid writer, so I think he could probably figure out how to do a decent amount of jokes in a 5 minute set. So I guess it's different for everybody.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think it'd be kind of fun, like something to happen. And it's like all of these guys just get 5 minutes only, even though they're big names. Just to like, I don't know.
Yeah, like a guy like Christopher Titus, who's like a great storyteller. Like
Yeah,
how good of a story could he fit into 5 minutes?
dude,
You know?
Titus was actually one of those big name Pandora only players that I've never really heard anybody ever mention him. I don't really hear anybody talking about him. But the dude has so many albums and they're all good,
Yeah,
all
he's
funny
yeah.
as
I feel like
hell.
he's super underrated.
Like,
Because yeah, you're right. Nobody ever talks about him, but like when I think about storytelling comics, like he's the one that comes to mind for me because he's so good at it.
see, I think Mike Birbiglia,
Yeah. Oh
but
yeah.
Birbiglia is one of my like rotating in that four.
Yeah.
His 2013 My Girlfriend's Boyfriend, like,
Yeah.
dude, it's so weird. Like, I listened to it and I can clear as day, remember the fact that I lived through something pretty much exactly like that.
Really.
And yeah, very much almost to a T, dude. It was kind of
Yeah.
crazy, but testament of like what it was. It just connected instantly, and I've loved it ever since.
Yeah. Do you prefer listening to comedy or watching it?
I have a gripe with a lot of comedy right now, which is like to watch a comedian. If I can do it in person, I will.
Yeah.
In person is the best way to experience comedy, hands down, no matter what it is. However, some comics they're hard to watch because it's boring watching somebody just stand there delivering jokes. Like some comics
That's
don't
what I
move.
do.
Some people don't like do it. But I mean, like paling together like a one liners back to back or a shorter kind of form. Because I've seen some of your stuff and like you make it work because you like your stuff is kind of tailored to and not really moving that much.
Yeah.
Um, but it's hard to see some people who I don't know. I see it from my perspective because I like moving around.
Yeah.
I like movement. I'll do sudden little jerks or whatever like into
Mhm.
things. But that's just because that's how I am as a person. It's kind of how
Yeah.
I tell stories in general. But I like being able to have like some visual components to jokes because
Yeah.
like thing with Carlin specifically, like even his older like his later year stuff,
Yep.
he did have some jokes that I didn't. They landed whenever I listened to it, but whenever I went back and finally watched the video, he would do these faces in that pause where like I
Yeah.
just associate in my mind that there's a pause here, but in those things it'd be like he does a face like
Yep.
a little bit like for a little like a couple
I
of
know
seconds,
exactly
a
what you're
couple
talking
like
about. Yeah.
glancing looks.
Yeah.
And that to me is like I can understand listening to it was one thing, but also adding it into that. And Bo Burnham is another example of that. Like I mean, his video editor joke in 2013 is what was just a one-off thing for the video. But then you go back and listen to the album version of that, and he recorded that on a completely separate night. So it has other little jokes and bits inside of it in that thing. But I can imagine somebody going and watching it like somewhere in Iowa or wherever else he was, and they just got an entirely different thing, but they actually got to see him perform. Because
Yeah.
like some of those things are very mimey.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah, because when I was growing up, it was rare to have a comedy special. That's why I got to see Carlin so much, because I feel like he had an HBO special like every year.
yeah,
So I remember watching those, and those were like the only ones I really got to see until about the mid '90s. HBO started doing the half-hour comedy specials, like with Richard Jeni and Carlos Mencia and stuff like that. Because I would usually just listen. Like I remember listening to Eddie Murphy's stuff. I never saw like Raw or whatever. I never saw the special until I got older. I would just listen to it on like a cassette tape or something like that. So you miss a lot of mannerisms and things he's doing.
you
Like
miss him running around stage, just like
and that outfit he's wearing and stuff like that.
iconic as hell, dude. I'd put it right up there with Michael Jackson's Thriller
Yeah,
outfit. Which I
yeah,
mean they're kind of similar, but
yeah. It probably came out around the same time too.
probably.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely prefer watching comedy. I remember I used to love Andrew Dice Clay when I was younger. I thought he was so funny. And then when I started doing comedy and stuff, I went back and listened to one of his albums and like, God, this is terrible.
It's terrible, but for that time, for that era, he had his moments,
He was huge, man. And he was on TV a lot too, so you got to see him and Kinnison were kind of the big guys around that time.
It's kind of like going back and watching Steve Martin's stuff sometimes is kind of, I love it, but I show it to somebody else and they're kind of like, this sucks. Like, this is weird. Why? So I can understand it being of the times sometimes.
For sure.
But I don't know. I love Steve Martin. Oh, another one. Fucking Woody Allen before he got older.
Oh yeah.
Before he left stand up. Like Woody Allen as a stand up to me still to this day is like one of my favorite stand up people. And he was around the same time as like a young Carlin, which is kind of cool. They used to like hang out. They used to hang out together.
Yeah.
But his joke telling, his delivery, some of it is kind of dated now. But again, me knowing what it was like to be in the 70s, I also just connect the 60s eventually because if you learn something about a certain thing, eventually you kind of have to branch off into more niche topics.
Yeah.
So I can go back and listen to like Lenny Bruce's stuff and still understand some of the slang or some of the references or whatever it is. But no, I love Woody Allen's early stuff.
I've actually I don't think I've ever heard his stand up at all.
Really?
Yeah.
That surprises the hell out of me. I have two of his albums and they're the exact same album, but just marketed differently. However, very funny.
Huh. Interesting. I'll have to look that up because I like old school comics like Red Fox, Don Rickles, some people from that era. I've never listened to any of his stuff. Bob Newhart, I used to have some old records of his.
I've gone back and because of, again, trying to get more into niche topics because I have nothing else to do with my life. I started watching a couple years ago. I subscribed to something unknowingly on YouTube as an attachment to premium called Curiosity Stream, which is like documentaries and all of that stuff. But it hasn't really added anything, and they weren't really high quality, anyways. But I kept it around, and eventually there was a series that popped up that was like Comedy Legends. So I obviously naturally watched that, and recently I watched like George Burns and Jack Barr and Peter Sellers and all of that kind of thing.
Hmm.
So I've been going back and learning about that. But the Peter Sellers one is different. Peter Sellers, I actively sought out because I'm a massive Rowan Atkinson fan.
Oh yeah,
I I love Rowan Atkinson.
yeah.
His Have you ever seen his one man show?
It's been a long time.
Dude, I think it holds up. I think it's still one of the funniest
I would
things.
love to see it again. Yeah, I'm gonna write
It's all
that
on
down.
YouTube too.
Yeah,
Um, but Rowan Atkinson,
he's another guy that I think is underrated.
I think he's properly rated to the fact that he doesn't like the limelight.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like globally, he is one of the biggest stars ever.
Oh yeah.
I just don't think he's very well received in the US because part of his humor is very British. I'm a
Hmm.
fan of British humor. Like
Yeah.
I love Eddie Izzard.
Oh yeah.
I love Dylan Moran. Dylan Moran is. Do you know of him?
I know the name. I've never
Uh,
seen his stuff.
he's famous for his 3 season long Black Books he did with
Oh,
Bill
okay.
Bailey. Bill Bailey's also funny in his own right, but he's more musical. This I'm getting on so many tangents. This is unlocking a lot of things. Sorry.
That's
Um,
fine.
I like American humor and I like British humor, but I can understand and recognize the difference between the two. And personally, if you put a gun to my head, I would prefer British humor
Hmm.
personally because it's not cutthroat, it's not dicks and vaginas, it's not personal to them as people. Like they don't care about your personal opinions on politics or whatever it is. Like
Yeah.
they care how funny you are and how like not just like eloquent in oh you got to use big words or whatever the fuck, but it's like what's your act? Tell me,
Uh-huh.
because they're a smaller market, so you kind of have to learn how to just be yourself, and people end up liking whoever it is that you are. Like
Yeah.
Jimmy Carr before he got into America, I think is hilarious. After he
Yeah.
got into America, it's like he kind of got Americanized in a
Yeah.
sense.
Oh yeah.
Good for him, he broke into the market. Not a lot of
Mhm.
British comics do. But Dylan Moran has this like poetic way of speaking. Um, like Totally and Monster are like his first two albums. They're also both on YouTube. You can watch them.
Okay.
Phenomenal, fucking phenomenal. And the thing is like I watched it and I was listening and I was laughing, but also I was learning some things. Like I learned what nannyism is through him, and I didn't even like pay attention to it until much later because I laughed at the joke and then I thought back and I was like, I don't know what that is. So then I googled it,
Hmm.
but he was also in Shaun of the Dead.
Oh.
He was the guy with the glasses, the really annoying guy.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
so
check him
Dylan
out.
Moran's
Yeah.
very funny.
That's probably where I know the name from then.
But I like he types of all of that. Like the Mexican comic that I watched as a kid and I asked my dad about. Uh, his name is Theo Gonzalez. He has like famous for like having a long ponytail, like actually like a horse's tail, like it's always down his back and stuff.
Hmm.
But we actually ended up meeting him randomly at a Walmart in Ruidoso.
Really?
Like 2 years after that, we took a picture of me and my cousins and him. Um, but it's because Ruidoso has like it's a ski town that's close to Mexico.
Yeah.
So a lot of people from like Juarez and all of that stuff come up. They always have like bigger Mexican named acts because
Yeah.
there's a lot of people from Mexico like really close by.
Uh-huh.
So randomly, I've seen him twice actually. I saw him at that Walmart, and then I actually saw him at a show like 2 or 3 years ago.
Oh
So
wow.
I mean, he's still active, still all that. The jokes were dated. They were, older crowd things, but
Yeah.
I thought it was cool still.
Oh hell yeah. So did you watch any like Monty Python stuff growing up?
Not growing up, I loved like obviously the Holy Grail. Everyone
Yeah.
watches the Holy Grail. It's one of the movies that they played in college. I mean, in high school or whenever
Yeah.
like the teacher was out. Um, the sketches. I caught a couple of them, but I've gotten more into them now that I'm older and trying to write them and trying to like pay
Yeah,
attention to
that's
all
how I
that.
was because they used to show their sketches on TV a lot, like on public television. And I remember I would try to watch it, and I was just like, I just don't get this.
Some of them are out there. Some of them are killer.
Yeah,
Like
I think it was probably around seventh grade when I was talking to my gym teacher about comedy, and he brought up Monty Python, and I was like, yeah, I watched some of their sketches when I was younger and didn't really like it, and then he loaned me some of the tapes and stuff, and he's like, well, give it a shot now, I think you'd really like it. And he's like, you have a similar sense of humor, I think, and I was like, okay, cool, and then so I watched some of their stuff and was like, okay, this is way funnier now,
I like the absurdity of it.
Yeah.
I like the fact that everyone who talks about like creating a sketch show or whatever struggles with the in-between thing of like how do you go from one to another seamlessly or whatever.
Hmm.
And people do credit Terry Gilliam's animations and all that. Sure. However, I'd also like to say that the way that they ordered it and wrote it and were actually able to just be like, why don't we have a cop that shows up at the end of this and just says this is too silly, just moving on. Like that decision to me is like that's why they're funny to me. Is like they have one character whose one thing is that, and then they're actually like I ended up watching season 2, episode 1, and the very first sketch that they showed had like it had gotten to that weird level of absurd that usually in season 1 they kind of cut it. That
Hmm.
character walks on and cuts it. But at that point, they actually mentioned it, and they're like, "Wait, isn't this the time for the cop to like come in and cut this off?" And then they actually played with it and said, "No, he's on vacation right now. Let's continue it." And then they just kept going. So it was like, God, that's beautiful, you know?
Yeah. Did you see their improvised show they did on Netflix?
No,
I think it was Monty Python. I'm pretty sure it was. Um, yeah, it had to have been. I'll look it up and I'll send it to you. It was one of the funniest things I've ever seen, though. It was so good, and Russell Brand was in it, and a couple other guys. But just yeah, it was an improvised show. I mean, I'm sure they had practiced it before, but it was
probably.
awesome. Actually, I got to. You live in Illinois, right? Now, or
Yeah, I'm
no?
in Chicago right now.
I did a set at Zany's in Rosemont one time, and John Cleese's daughter was on the same show. That
No
was
way.
pretty cool. Yeah,
I heard that she does stuff like this. Like she's
yeah,
in the comedy acting thing,
yeah,
but I didn't know much.
yeah. I wanted to bug her about it, but like, I don't know. I'm not one of those guys that does that. Like, just talk about her dad the whole time.
You want to, but also you feel bad.
Yeah.
I would. I
Well,
would.
she's like really good looking. I have a hard time talking to good looking ladies, you know.
No
But there was
offense there.
the guy who hosted that show that night was a guy named Vince Maranto. Have you ran into him in Chicago at all?
Doesn't ring a bell now.
He was awesome, such a funny host, and I didn't get to chat with him for too long, but man, he's been doing stand up for 30 plus years, and just I bet that guy's got so many stories. Like just the stories he told me, just in the limited time that I had to chat with him, was awesome. But yeah, what a cool scene to be in, man.
Let me write that down. Sorry,
Yeah, of course.
I'll ask around for it.
Vince Maranto,
Um,
super nice guy.
dude,
He's
no,
actually
I like Chicago so far.
yeah,
The community is very fun. Um, it's much like the Dallas one, or much like the other ones that I've been around. Honestly,
for sure.
you gotta know people, you gotta talk to people, all that stuff. Um, but it is very fun. I like the fact that there's so many different types of people to talk to in front of.
Yeah.
Like every mic that I go to, because right now I'm mostly doing mics.
Mhm.
I just got my first stand up show, because I've done improv as well. Um, I just have my first show coming up on Friday,
Oh, cool.
and then I'll have one next month, which is nice. Um, so slowly but surely, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, the thing is, though, I I take kind of a weird stance on it. I go everywhere as much as I
Yeah.
can because there are so many mics. There's opportunities to do 3 or 4 a night
Yeah.
sometimes, and there have been nights that I do 4 in a night,
Hmm.
but they're all in like one specific area, one very
Yeah.
concentrated thing, and it's kind of the same type of audience where the same comics go to the same things. So I came here whenever I first moved here. I was like, I don't know anybody. I don't know how to do any of this stuff. I don't know where I'm going or what the people are like. So why don't I try every mic once
Hmm.
and see which ones I go with and all of that stuff within reason. Like I'm not gonna. There are some that are about 2 hours away that I'm not
Yeah.
gonna go for just 7 minutes or whatever, unless like they give me a show, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's been fun because I get to see the suburb comedians have a much different vibe and like feel, and even their joke
Oh yeah.
structures and the way that they do things are different compared to some of the people in the city that live a little bit more south or a little bit more west or a little bit more in this specific area. Like it's so interesting for me to see.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's
So
funny because Albuquerque doesn't have anything like that really. Um, so yeah, that is interesting. Have you done any of the open mics at any of the comedy clubs?
yeah, I've done the Laugh Factory open mic once.
Okay.
That one's it's by bucket, and about like 75 to 100 people apply every time, and
Oof.
there's only like 10 spots per night, 5 for next week. So it's kind of a crapshoot, but I've done it once. The stage was fun. I got nervous. I flubbed it. Uh,
Oh really?
it happens. I was just more like, oh man, I'm up here, kind of thing.
Yep.
And it was super late whenever I went on. And it's one of those times where you're like 17th, but then a friend of a friend shows up or a friend shows up,
Yeah.
and then like eventually I became like 23rd or 24th. So it was like, "Meh,
Yeah.
I'll go up whenever I go up." Uh, I've done a couple of the comedy clubs open mics here. But the ones that I mostly want to do are kind of in the suburb. The suburb has more comedy clubs there and smaller venues, but they're more homely, I would say.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
They're a lot friendlier to faces that they see and
Yep.
talk to and all that stuff.
Oh yeah. Have you? How far are you from Peoria?
Period. That's a good question.
I did a club there called the Jukebox Comedy Club. That was pretty fun.
Peoria, 131 miles, 4 hours by train
Okay.
and bus. No, I haven't been there. I've heard
Okay.
of it, but I haven't.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't a bad club. I've done that one. I did Zanies in Rosemont, and I did Zanies downtown.
Nice.
Yeah.
I working my way up to it. There's
Cool.
there's this cool thing about Chicago is like they do have a lot of options to be able to kind of go up onto things like that. So
Uh huh.
there's a monthly competition called Vouch that if you show up to that, you sign up your name. It might be capped at 25, it might be capped at 50, but it's 3 minutes and you get to showcase this is my act, this is who I am. And if you're lucky enough to get picked, well, lucky and good, I would say. Lucky
Oh
to get
yeah.
drawn, good enough to get picked.
Yeah.
You get to have a show at Laugh Factory at Fresh Faces so that you can actually, and that show's in front of like bookers and all of that stuff. And
Oh
most
yeah.
people that go on there come out with at least 1 to 2 like things. Rare has it been that I've seen that nobody gets booked from.
Hmm.
And then, I mean, from there, it's basically like your wheelhouse. Like, are you going to run with it or not, kind of thing, maybe.
Yeah.
But I haven't gotten there yet.
You'll get
Yet.
there.
I'm not in a rush.
Yeah, that's good. I know a lot of comics feel like they need to do it now, and they try and overdo it, and it doesn't work out, and then they end up burning a bridge or two, and then kind of screws them in the long run. So it's a good mindset to have, not rushing into anything.
Well, from what because I mean, being such a nerd for this stuff, I've listened to a lot of comics talk. I mean, a lot of them, whether they're alive or dead, but most of them say like, if you're under 10 years, you're not even a newbie, you know? Like 10 years is kind of the point where people are kind of like, oh, okay, like he's starting, kind of thing.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
I even heard Louis C.K. was on Theo Vaughn's podcast a little over a year ago, I think, and Louis asked Theo how long he had been doing stand up, and he said like 20 years. And Louis was like, "Oh, you're just a baby still."
yeah,
And when
yeah,
I heard
that's
that,
what
I
I
was like,
mean.
"Oh man, that's crazy that he thinks that." Because looking back at Louis, even like I remember watching some of his older stuff from early '90s. He was awful.
Yeah, the stoplight, the
Yeah, it was like all traffic
stoplight thing.
jokes. Yeah,
Yeah, which I mean, I get it. There are some things that I'm doing right now that I can't lie, I don't really love doing, but I know that
yeah,
they get laughs.
yeah,
There are some things that I have outgrown out entirely because I just don't care to talk about that subject or like personally, I'm not very topical.
yeah,
If I can pull a topical joke out every so often, sure. But
yeah.
I like jokes that just pop in my head that
Mhm.
I think that make me laugh. Because
Yeah.
if I'm not laughing at it, the audience, why would I expect the audience to laugh?
Uh-huh.
And right now, I'm just kind of in that mode of I'm 4 years in. I'm just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
But that's the fun part about it. And
Yeah.
that is kind of where I get into trouble sometimes because I don't overdo it because I think like, oh, I'm behind the ball. I overdo it because I'm like, this is fun. Let's keep going,
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
So it's not the healthiest sometimes.
No, I think it's fun that way though. I kind of miss those days for me, like just going and seeing what works and what doesn't and fucking around and trying different
But
things. And
if you don't mind me asking, how does like your writing or your thing pop? Like, does it? I know rare is the time whenever like something pops in your head, you write it down and you say it that night and it kills, you know. But
I had that happen 2 years ago.
really,
After a show though, I was it was after a set I had already done, and I was sitting outside, kind of going over my notes for the show, and the show was still going on. I don't know who was on stage, but I was out there, and like when I was writing some notes down, this thing popped into my head, and I was like, "Oh, that is funny." And I was like, "Man, I wish I had a couple more minutes because I would try it." But I had a show the next night, and it got like the biggest laugh of the night for my out of my set.
oh yeah,
And some things you just think of and you're like, ah, this is good. This is real good. Sometimes you're just like, I think this is good, but it needs something, But that thing like just wrote itself, and I was like so happy about it. But yeah, my writing process, I used to write every single day, and then when COVID happened, I kind of got out of that. I started doing other things that I enjoyed. And I started playing bass and stuff and like just doing a bunch of other stuff and kind of got out of the habit of writing every day, which really sucked. Um, but I'm starting to get back into it again now. So,
like
but
when you write, you don't have to divulge anything that you don't want to. Obviously, this is your show, so uh, whenever you go into writing something, like, I struggle with it because I tend to write paragraphs.
yeah,
I tend to write like if I get an idea, I'll write until I can't physically like I run out of steam on the idea and I hit a certain point and I'm like, okay, I'm thinking about this too much. I'm trying too hard. So that's whenever I stop writing, put the pen down and walk away. Then I go talk about it on stage and I'll listen back to it. And sometimes I'm surprised about the parts that people laugh at more than the parts that I thought it might
yeah,
be. Um, but I'm also really bad at going back and rewriting it.
yeah. I feel like when you get to the point where you're done with it is the time to keep writing. I've done that before where it's like, I'm writing it and there's one funny part, but I'm like, I know there's more to this. And it's frustrating because I'm not getting to that point. So I keep going and kind of forcing myself to get to that point. It's like, this is fucking funny. Where's it at? Just keep writing, even if it's dumb shit. Like I remember I had a joke a long time ago and I knew it was a funny idea. and I just could not get it to get a laugh on stage. And I tried it like I don't know how many times. And then one night, I was in Tucson. I was performing at Laughs in Tucson, and I got there a day early, and they have their open mic on Thursdays. So I was like, I'm gonna go up and do some open mic. And then I saw that joke. I was like, I'm gonna make this fucking work tonight. So I sat there for like 2 hours, just reworking it. Like I hadn't done it in like 2 years probably. So I think just looking at it like a different perspective, 2 years older, 2 years wiser, maybe. Just like I don't know, I figured it out. I went on stage that night and I got a really good laugh. So I was like, I knew that fucking shit was funny.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. It's a different process for everybody for sure. But my friend Tim that I tour with a lot, he's always trying to tell me he's like, you gotta add more stories into your set. He's like, you always tell me funny ass stories and like none of them are in your set. And I was like, yeah, that's a good point. So that's kind of what I've been working on lately is just like trying to make my stories funny for stage. That's why I think I was thinking of Christopher Titus because he's such a good storyteller. And I feel like it was him that said like you go out, you go sit down, write out your story, underline the funny parts, and then decide how long in between the funny parts, and you're like, well, I need something funny here and here and here, so then just go there and kind of exaggerate a little bit, exaggerate the story to get a laugh here or laugh there or whatever like that. So I'm trying to work on that, but I don't know if I'm any good at it because I'm so used to writing one-liners and short jokes, and getting to the punchline right away. So
Old dog, new tricks.
yeah. We'll see what
I have,
happens. I don't know.
I have the issue where I'll write something down and it works, and I just won't change it to even like consider maybe it could be even funnier.
Oh
So,
yeah. Yeah.
but funny enough, like I did my first open mic November of 2021. But a couple of months ago, I randomly was like looking through my notes app on my phone, and I found something for like May of 2020. Barely, pandemic just happened. I got fired. I got laid off. All of this stuff. I don't remember writing this note, but I woke. I was like 11 something in the morning, so I probably just woken up, and I wrote just a line, like bits and pieces of just ideas that I had in my head or whatever.
Mhm.
And some of them were bits. Like some of them
Yeah.
were actually things that were like, I don't know why I'm writing this down, but this is what I think. And then as soon as I found that, I was like, fuck it. I'm just gonna go up tonight and read these off and see if there's anything good. And sure enough, like there's a baseball thing in the net. Like it caught me for a little bit. Like, oh,
Nice.
nice. Like
That's awesome, man.
even before I started like doing any of this stuff or even considering the fact of doing it.
Yeah.
Uh,
See,
but
you've been
it's
a
just
comedian for a while. You knew it. You're just writing
I've
it down.
just not technically yet.
Uh-huh.
I I've always been
Hmm.
one of my friends, whenever I told him, one of my best friends from college, whenever I told him that I was going to be a comic and all of that stuff, most of them were just kind of like, hell yeah, we'll see you on Netflix someday, this normal thing that people say. And, but one of them specifically told me, like, why? You're not even funny. Like, what the fuck?
Oh, really?
Yeah, which, to his credit, I don't think I'm, like, technical aspect of joke writing, I am not there yet.
Yeah.
I am still in the infancy of trying to learn how to like structure and how to talk about it while also doing it in my own voice and all of
Oh,
it.
yeah.
And the times that I get more laughs are usually whenever I'm off script and I'm actually just talking like a conversation, which is why I
Uh-huh.
love Norm. Like it's very
Yeah.
conversational. You can tell with Norm it was something. Yes, maybe he wrote some of these things down, but also I feel like part of it was like he went out there and just talked and
Hmm.
just hoped for the best, at least in the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But for me, it made me laugh whenever he told me that. So I forgot where I was going with this. I don't think I'm like that funny. I'm not the guy at if you invite me to a party, I'm more than likely going to be tucked away in the kitchen
Same.
talking to like in the conversation in the kitchen or on a couch talking to one person like one
Oh
on
yeah,
one, two on one,
me
whatever it
too.
might be, rather than like, hey guys, I'm the funny
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Usually the guy like that at the party, he wouldn't be able to figure out how to make that funny on stage anyway.
True, and some people can be that guy and be that guy on stage. Like I've seen some people are just social butterflies,
Yeah,
but I just am not.
same.
I like people in short spurts. I had a great pandemic because it was spent in Albuquerque. The world was shut down. I was getting money from the job that I was working that furloughed. They gave us a nice severance package. Stimulus checks came in. None of that money went to anywhere that it was actually needed.
Hmm.
I drank a lot and I went hiking.
Yeah.
That was it. Me and my one friend, as soon as he was off of work, as he was an essential worker working in a small business, he would just text me, "Where are we going?" Because I had already had like where we were gonna go that day planned out because I had enough time.
Oh
So
yeah.
where are we going? I was like, "Meet me here." Bet 5-10 minutes later, we're just at the base of the San Diego, just walking.
That's awesome, man. When did you move to Chicago?
I moved here last August.
Oh, okay. Sweet.
Um, I
So a little
was
over a
in
year.
Albuquerque until the end of 2022. Moved to
Okay.
Virginia for 6 months
Oh wow.
because I wanted to continue college and all of that stuff. Um, didn't work out, and that was a stupid idea. But then my nephew was born that year. I was homesick, so I moved. I had actually met a guy at a mic in Houston. I went to visit a buddy of mine to go to an NFL game. Went to a mic, ended up talking to one guy. He also wasn't from Houston. He ended up being from Dallas. We connected, just became friends that night. He said, "If you're ever in Dallas, like let me know. I'll tell you where to go. I'll show you the ropes, whatever it might be." And he was only like 2 or 3 years in too, so he's like
Oh cool.
2 years ahead of me or something.
She's still in Dallas.
So yeah, no, he's actually. I was just talking to him now because I guess he's up here for a comedy festival and we might hang out or something.
Oh right on.
Um, yeah, so first time that I've seen him since I lived there. But I was in Dallas for like 4 or 5 months
Cool.
until I got fired from that job randomly. But I was doing like 5 to 7 mics a week, which is
Oh yeah.
nice for somebody starting out, I guess. Um, finally started getting like, okay, this is good, this is nice, and then I got fired and I had to move back home. And it's kind of fucked. But
Yeah.
moved back home to Roswell-ish area a year and a half, and then by the time I moved home, I was like, I know I'm leaving. I'm
Yeah.
giving myself 2 years to get my shit together, pay off some debts, and go. So I worked in the oil fields for 8 months,
Oh wow.
made a lot of money, cleared a lot of debts. Not enough, but
Yeah.
enough to where I felt comfortable with it and saved up enough. Lucked and fell into being a teacher at my own high school.
Cool.
Didn't think that was going to work out, but it ended up doing it. And it's fun. But came up here last August and came up here with like the express goal of stand up, but also improv because I'm already here. So I'm in
Yeah.
the mecca for improv.
For sure.
Why would I not add something to my tool belt?
Yeah. Who's the comic from Dallas?
His name is Sean Lee.
Sean Lee. Okay. I don't know if I know him. I know
Sean
quite a few
Lee.
Dallas comics.
I knew a couple of their names, but probably not the big name ones, honestly. Though I did end up being on at the Dallas Comedy Club. They do an annual funniest person in Dallas
Oh yeah.
competition. I ended up doing that 2 times, and the second time I ended up competing against a guy. His name escapes me, but I actually saw him because he performed at my college while I was in school.
Oh really?
Yeah, because they take middling small names from like college tours and all of that stuff and
Oh yeah. I performed
bring
at
them
Eastern.
into middle of nowhere. Yeah, the what is it? NACA?
Yeah.
Is that circuit?
Yeah. Yeah, I performed at Eastern in God, when was that? I opened for Chris Fonseca. Do you know him?
That name rings a bell.
He's been around for like 40 years. He's in a wheelchair, has cerebral palsy. Super funny dude. But yeah, we had a good time. Drove out to Portales for a night and ended up driving back that same night. So
There's nothing there except for cows.
I know, yeah. My ex-wife grew up in that area. She grew up in Fort Sumner, so
Hey,
I spent some time over there. Yeah,
old Billy the Kid.
yeah. Well, cool, man. We're about to hit an hour, so I try not to keep it, or try not to go over an hour. But dude, thanks for being on. Where can people find you on social media if you want people to find you?
I am at Carlos Alvidrez _ on Instagram. Don't have a website yet because that's too expensive. So if you want to donate money, all 8 listeners, according to you, I actually watched your episode with Samantha, I think, just
Savannah?
to prep for this. Savannah, yeah. I'm horrible with names, so I apologize if she has listened to this and be like, fuck that guy. But no, yeah, I mean Carlos Alvidrez _ I'm doing a 3-episode sketch show currently with a buddy
Oh,
of
cool.
mine. It's all basically interconnected in one universe that we created. So that'll hopefully first episode will hopefully be out end of October at the latest. Fingers crossed.
Sweet.
But
Awesome, dude. Yeah, I'm looking
thanks
forward
for
to
having me on.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Good luck in Chicago. I'll try and think of if I have any connections up there, and I'll send them to you and see if I can help out a little bit.
If anything, and I'll ask you this off camera and all that, off recording and all that stuff. But I am curious about the Albuquerque thing because so much has changed. I'm assuming.
Oh yeah,
since like 3 years ago or 4 years ago.
For sure. Well, cool. Yeah, I'll stop recording and then we'll chat a little bit.
Cool.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Also, check out Albuquerque the Magazine. Had a nice little write-up on In the Rye podcast. Check it out. Also, thanks to Jarrett Reddick from Bowling for Soup for intro music and John Singleton from Anesthesia for outro music. See you next time, everybody.